I cannot tell. Well, okay. Shifu simplicity and all Dharma friends. Amitofo. Amitofo. Okay, so good to be back again. Second time in Berlin. Okay, today, what is the topic? What is? Oh, good. Master of the Empty Coud. Did you read the book? Only you? You finished the book?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Maybe you can be the... No what? No what? I didn't say anything yet. Okay. Anyone else has read the book? No? Of Hinesisch? No? Even in... No? Oh, okay. Who's this figure? This monk? You have read it? Oh, nice. Because no wonder all is empty, right? Okay, so this is about Master Xu Yun. And why are we going to talk about him? Because he is one of my role models in my spiritual cultivation. And also, we have to know that Miaofa Central belongs to Chan tradition, right? So what is Chan tradition? Any ideas about this monk? Okay, who is the first patriarch in the Chan tradition? Who? Bodhidharma, good. And then the second one? Oh, it's a difficult one. Let's skip that. The sixth patriarch. Huineng, good. Actually, you are here to hear me and to give you a lecture, but I prefer to give you a lot of pub quiz. How's that? No? Okay, anyway. So when in Chan school, we know Buddhism starts from Siddhartha Gautama, right? And our Shakyamuni Buddha. And in Chan school, we have the first patriarch, Bodhidharma. And then the Dharma was passing down to the sixth patriarch, Huineng. But after the Huineng, Chan school split into 6 sects. So we have the first one is Linji. So this one, our tradition, because the grandmaster of Shifu Simplicity and me, our great teacher, so he belongs to the Linji school. Okay, under the tradition, among the 5, one is Linji. Or if you have studied Japanese Zen, it's pronounced as Rinzai. Linji school. And so started from the Linji, Master Linji, and down to Master Xu Yun. Xu Yun is the 55th generation in the Linji tradition. And so after that is our grandmaster is 58 tradition. So the grandmaster is Shifu Lingyuan Zhanglao. His Tanshi Shifu teacher is the disciple, the 2nd generation of the Master Xu Yun. Okay, but actually, Master Xu Yun was the one who tonsured Lingyuan, Master Lingyuan. Is that confusing? No? Okay, good. So, and from Master Xu Yun to his direct disciple, and then down to Lingyuan, Master Lingyuan, and then our grandmaster, and then that's our generation. You were Shifu and me, okay? So, and that's why we need to know about him, because Master Xu Yun, although we talk about him from the Linji tradition, actually he was the one who really revived Chan tradition in Chinese Buddhism. And we talk about the 5 schools beneath Chan tradition. And he was the one who succeeded all of the 5 traditions. So nowadays, in the Chinese tradition, when we talk about a Chen school, and we will go back to Master Xu Yun. Yeah, and Master Xu Yun, we can start from his early life. Actually, he was born in 1840. That was the Qing dynasty, Qing dynasty. And then in 1912, 1912, the dynasty of Qing was overturned, and it turned into a modern era. So, and that was become a democratic country. But then in 1949, Communist Party took over mainland China. And so after that, so Master Xun experienced another political era. So we see he went through from the old Qing dynasty to democratic era, and then to PRC, the current China era. So we can see how the experience he went through about the change of the political times, and all of a lot of like civil wars. And also at that time, during 19 about like in the end of the Qing dynasty and in the beginning of the modern era, China suffered from the foreign countries' invasion. So the entire country was experiencing a hard time, both in politics and in society. And then we can understand how at that time people was suffering a lot, especially about the poverty. Yeah, and also the such an unstable political situation, and people were they will suffer a lot, and they did not really have enough food to eat, and they have to wander a lot and change their location. Yeah, so that was such a hard time. And Master Xun, we talk about his birth, it was 1940, but he passed away in he was born in 1840, and he passed away in 1959. Wow, that's such longevity. So it's about 119, or what normally in Chinese they tend to say 120 years old. And in the time when he was born, on the same day, his mother passed away. So he suffered from the loss of his own mother, and he missed his mother a lot. Yeah, and after that, he suffered from the loss of his grandma. And that was because of the loss of his grandma. So his father had a funeral for his grandma, and it was because of the funeral, that's why he encountered some monks, and also he got the chance to get in touch with Buddhism and also the sutras. And that's why he started to show his interest in learning Buddhism. So when he was 17, he wanted to become a monk. But we know it's not that easy for parents to get rid of their children and say, okay, good, you can leave. Just like we can think about Siddhartha when he was thinking about to leave the palace. And of course, his father said, no, you should not go. I love you so much, and you should be my successor. How could you leave the palace? So the same thing happened to Master Xun. But then, so his father arranged marriage for him. Yeah, of course, he wanted to leave home, but his father did not allow him. So he married 2 women on the same day. But something interesting is that because he wanted to become a monk, and he was forced to have this marriage, and 2 marriages, right? He married 2 women. What did he do? So he still practiced celibacy, and he taught Buddhism to his wives. Yeah, and when 2 years later, these 2 poor women had no choice but seeing their husband leaving home. So he sneaked out. Of course, his father would not, and his wives would not allow him to leave home, but he was so determined. So he left home at night with his cousin, who also wanted to become a monk. So both of them fled away from home, and they went to southern China, which the province is called Fujian. Fujian, and in the Yongquan-si, Gushan Yongquan-si. So he was tonsured there when he was 19 years old. But because he had to hide himself from his father, so he stayed in a cave behind the monastery for 3 years. So yeah, 3 years. So during the 3 years, all he had to do was reading sutras, and he spent a lot of time practicing prostration. And the point of doing all this prostration is he was practicing repentance. Why did he practice repentance? Any guess? Why? What? Repentance. 忏悔. 拜忏. He did a lot of prostration before the Buddha. Of course, it is a small cave, right? So there was no big Buddha statues. Of course, he had small one. Yeah. So he did prostrations a lot every day to the Buddha and to repent. And that means we had some wrongdoings or maybe a lot of misdeeds in this life or in our past lives. And that's why he had to repent and to purify his own mind, to purify his own karma. And I personally suspect that it's because he lost his mother on the same day when he was born. So he felt guilty losing his mother because of his own birth. And that's why he wanted to repent for himself and also for his mother. And so after 3 years, he came out of the cave and started to take a post or take some duties in the monastery where he was ordained and tonsured, and later he took the full ordination to become a monk, because earlier he was just a novice, and now he had to become a monk so that he can take more responsibility and take the personal cultivation more seriously, and also learn the doctrines and meditations from his teacher. Yeah, and also from other monks. And later he started to take up his journey and wander around a lot in mainland China and also in Southeast China and Southeast Asia, and also even to Tibet. He traveled a lot to broaden his own horizon and also to learn Buddhism from different traditions and to encounter so many different monks and nuns and learn from them. And also during his travels, because he traveled quite a lot, during his travels, he met so many people and he tried to share his understanding of Buddhism with them, and also learn from a lot of different people and from different ethnic groups and from different religions and traditions as well. And we talk about his loss of his mother. So that was quite a trauma for him. So when he was 43 years old, he started a journey, and that is a pilgrimage from Putuoshan, that's Zhejiang, southeast China, and all the way to North China, that's Wutaishan. So it's thousands of kilometers away, and it took him 3 years to finish the pilgrimage. So nowadays, when we talk about pilgrimage, it's like, oh, well, I will buy a flight ticket and go to India and go to China, go to Taiwan, Japan, and then enjoy the great food and enjoy the sacred sites, and also sleep in a nice hotel and look at all the sightseeings and do some prostrations and read some sutras. That's what we do nowadays, right? But during his day, no. What he did was he walked 3 steps, and for each 3 steps, he make a bow. Full prostration. We call in Chinese is 三步一拜. So you walk 3 steps and a prostration, and walk 3 steps in 1 prostration. And that's why it took him 3 years to finish it. And so think about that. When it is raining, did he stop? When it was raining, no. When it was snowing, no. When it was a day so windy, no stop. And he did that when the sun rose, and also when it was dark, he still also had to do that. And how about when he was sick? Still, right? Still had to endure that. That's a hardship. That's a challenge for him. Still, he was happy to do that because he wanted to pay off his gratitude to his mother and also to his father. His father passed away when he was 25 years old. Still, he was quite young, and especially his mother. So he showed his gratitude to his parents by doing all these pilgrimage. And he took him 3 years. And on his way to the Mount Utai, of course, he had to suffer so much hardship, but his mind was pure. And on his way to his destination, he met a lot of people and he talked with them as well. Of course, it's about the Dharma, engaging the conversation. And one day when he was almost close to his destination, there was such a snowstorm, and that's why he got stuck in a small hut on his way to Mount Utai. And it was snowing, and the next morning when he rose, when he got up, the snow piled up so high, and he got stuck in this hut, so he had no food. So he was trapped there, and for a few days. Then a beggar came to him, and this beggar came out of nowhere. Suddenly, there's one guy appeared in his hut and tried to cook some rice for him, and so he got some energy again. And there was a great conversation between this beggar and him because the beggar was cooking the rice. But before he cooked the rice, he boiled some water. Where did he get the water? From the snow. Yeah. So he put some snow in a pot and he asked Master Xun and say, "What is this? And do you have this in the south?" Master Xun say, "No, we don't have this in the south." But when the snow was boiled, smelled it and boiled, and the beggar pointed the water and asked Master Xun again, "Do you have this?" And at that time, he was speechless, right? So then we know the wisdom of the beggar. And then there, of course, that became a koan Master Xun had to ponder upon later. You know koan? The term koan? Okay. Koan could be a story happened between a Chan master and their disciple, how they converse during their dialogue, what they can learn from their teacher. I teach them. And koan, then the practice of koan could also become a 话头. 话头 is the beginning of a phrase. So you could ponder on a critical phrase and try to understand the deeper meaning of our own true nature, our own mind. And Master Xun, he finished his pilgrimage, but also he had offered his finger to the Buddha. That is something quite different. What does that mean, to offer your finger to a Buddha? Ever heard of that? No. That is to cut off, to burn your finger. Yeah. No surprise. That is one way. Yeah, we tend to offer, like here we offer fruits, right? Offer water, offer food to the Buddha, or offer our prostration, offer our sincerity to the Buddha, or we chant the sutras. That is also one way to make offering to the Buddha. And we can offer flowers. And for him is that he in a temple, the name is Ashoka Temple, 阿育王寺. So the practice is you tie one of your finger and with the cotton and tie it very tight and make it the blood cannot really go through, right? And then you dip your finger in the oil and then burn it. Once it's burned off, that is done with your offering. And when he was about to offer that, actually he was in very severe illness, but he was able to endure that, and then he recovered because he was so determined to make the offering to the Buddha. Why did he want to do that? Again, he wanted to make that offering to the Buddha and to earn some merit and to dedicate this merit to his beloved mother. So then we can see how deep the love between him and what he felt about his mother's death. And later, when he started his solitary retreat in Zhongnan Mountain, so he stayed there for a few years, and he had his own small hut, and he mainly practiced meditation there. And of course, he read some sutras at that time, but his main practice was sitting meditation. And in winter, it was like very cold, and there was some snow, and it was about meal time, so he started to cook taro. And when he was waiting for his taro to be cooked, he practiced meditation. And then at that time, he entered samadhi. But that kind of entering samadhi was not deliberately. So he did not really had any intention to enter samadhi. So that happened so naturally. And when one of his friends from other hut in the Zhongnan Mountain came to visit him, and when the monk came and saw Master Xu meditating, so he used what? A bell, just like we had done. Use a bell to ring him out of the samadhi. And Master Xu was so happy to see his Dharma friend and said, "Oh, I just was cooking my taro. Okay, you can enjoy the taro together with me." But when they opened the pot, it was so bad, it's spoiled and with the mold. So, and they started to count the day that he had been in the deep samadhi for about 2 weeks. Yeah, so that was so surprising. And that was his first experience of entering samadhi. And he also later, he left Zhongnan Mountain and went to Gaominsi in Yangzhou. That's another province. He was about to help in a Chan meditation retreat. But the Chan meditation retreat was about 6 or 5 weeks long, not just 1 week. And before he reached the temple, he was not that mindful because he was walking along with a river and wanted to get across the river, but he had no money. And when he was trying to find a boat, someone can sail him to the other shore. Suddenly he fell into the water, and he was in the water current for about 1 day. And luckily, he was rescued by a fisherman, and the fisherman sent him to a temple nearby. And then he expressed his wish to go to Gaomin Temple. So the monk there sent him to Gaomin Temple. When he arrived at the temple, he said he wanted to attend the 7-day retreat. Not 7 day, just Chen retreat. But they did not allow him because the rule is that once you come here as a newcomer, you have to take some post first. You have to do some duty, and then when you are qualified, they will allow you to go to the Chen Hall. But he insisted that no, I have to go to the Chen Hall because he knew he was so ill. He was just rescued. But he did not tell the monk in the reception room that he was sick. He did not say that. So, and because he refused to take the post, so they beated him. That kind of beating is a punishment. That punishment is a practice in the Chan tradition. Is that okay? Here is the rule. But if you don't want to do that, then you have to be punished by beaten by the awakening stick. You don't have that here? No? No. Oh, luckily you don't have that. Okay. Oh yeah, I saw one in the meditation hall. Okay, just like I'm invited by Shifu Simplicity to give you a lecture, right? And if she is the higher one, and I say, no, I changed my mind. I don't want to give a lecture. She can beat me. No. Okay, so that was the ancient practice. That was the rule. So they beated him and he was silent, didn't say anything, but he was sitting in the meditation hall. And after 1 week, in the Chan tradition is that you meditate, and also at some point during the pause, right? When you are pause mahan, they serve you some water. And at that point, a cup was served to him. And when he was about to hold the cup, and the monk who was serving the water and poured the hot water, the monk did not pour the hot water into the cup. Instead, poured the hot water on his fingers. So it's boiled water. So suddenly he just let go of the cup. The cup fell on the floor. At that time, the big sound triggered his enlightenment. And he wrote an enlightenment on a poem about enlightenment on his own experience. That was his first enlightenment when he was 59 years old. Are you old? Any of you older than 59? Younger? Oh, okay, good. You are all younger. Oh, only one? Two? Okay. Anyway, so you still have a lot of time to become enlightened. Yeah, when you reach 59. And for those older than 59, no worries, because Master Shi lived up to 120. So as long as Shifu Jianxiao is alive, you can just follow her and see when you can become enlightened. If you don't have any chance to become enlightened, you can ask Shifu and say, Shifu, could you use your awakening stick to help me become awakened? So that was his experience of enlightenment, and his entire life, his practice was he led such a simple life. And he was so humble. Why do I say that he's humble? Because later he became more and more famous, and people invited him to build temples. And those temples actually were destroyed, and people wanted him to rebuild these temples. And he was such a great figure in terms of his own personal cultivation and also his compassion to the people. We know that he experienced 3 dynasties, like 3 political eras. And at that time, China suffered so much. And people suffer because of the politics and bad economies. And he was very nice when he restored a temple, and when it was the civil war or Japanese invasion or invasion from the Western countries, he was very compassionate to host those who have lost their houses. and he shared the temple's food with them. And whenever he got any donation, he used the donation for the temple reconstruction and also shared those for the relief fund to help those who are in poverty and those who suffer. And wherever he go, whenever he went to, like, from one city to the other or from one monasteries to the other monasteries, on his way of journey and traveling, he always gave lectures. He always gave Dharma talks. He would talk about Chan practice and about how we should validate all different Dharma practices and admire different traditions and see all these different traditions, they are complementary instead of try to find the conflicts between different traditions. Just like we are in a Chan meditation center, but we do not see, oh, that's Pure Land practice, is nothing, oh, that's Tibetan Buddhism, that's not what we want, oh, that's Theravada. No, it's not what I want to learn. So we have our own focus and our interests, but still we try to respect other traditions, other kind of practices. And that was what Master Xu taught his audiences. Yeah. And also he tried to restore those temples, and he tried to take care of those who are in poverty, and he built Buddhist institutes to continue the practice of Dharma, to continue the three jewels. So wherever he went, he always officiated the three refugees, and also 5 precepts, and also he officiated the 4 monastic ordination almost every year or every other years during such a turmoil era. And also he built hospitals and also schools for ordinary people, for just common education. And so we can see he had a lot of contributions to the society in general. And something is very unbelievable and very difficult for him is that because at that time, different like generals, different political leaders and the military leaders, they fought with each other and try to occupy certain areas. So they fought with each other, and of course the common people, they suffer. So he was trying to intervene and try to negotiate and try to be a peacemaker so that people can have a better life. And that was what he did. Yeah. So we talk about his personal cultivation and his life and his early life, and later how he made his contribution to Buddhism. Especially he tried to preserve the practice of Vinaya. Although he was from the Chan tradition, he thought it was very important for us to keep Vinaya. You know Vinaya? The monastic practice, monastic precepts. Yeah. And he also ordinated so many monastics, and that's how he tried to preserve and to also to, one is to preserve Buddhism, the other way is to revive Chan Buddhism. Yeah, we know during the difficult time, it's not that easy for people to have their own faith and to have a very stable time to focus on their cultivation. So nowadays, although we have some wars in some countries and also a lot of places, they have experienced famines or poverty. But in general, nowadays, it's fine and it's stable and society is stable, and that's why we have the fortune to practice our own religion. So we should be grateful for that. Yeah. And Master Xun, he was such a humble figure, and also like he had no attachment to the temple he rebuilt. When he was done with one temple and rebuilt it, people would invite him to another one. So he will move and he will say goodbye to the first one. He will not say, oh, this is my achievement and this is my temple. No, so he can easily just let go and move to the second one and then another one and another one. Yeah. So one time he suffered a lot. Is not just about his own loss of his mother, because the difficulties of politics. One day, someone misaccused him and say he had the arms in his temple, but of course not. He was a monk. He practiced nonviolence. But he was misaccused, so the military, those soldiers came to the temple and tried to get all those arms and guns. And of course not, they found nothing. So they were so angry, so they beat it Master Xu because he was the leader. And they beat him almost to death. So he was beaten and in a coma. But when he woke up, he was able to recollect himself. He was beaten almost to death, and his ribs were broken, and he was beating so severely, but he was able to manage that and enter samadhi for a few days. And then he revived, sort of like make himself refresh again. So he was confined. He was forbidden to get out of his temple for so many weeks, and he was confined in his small room. But suddenly, after a few weeks, the soldiers saw him became a different person. He was shining. So, and they at that time they were scared and they could not find any excuse to occupy the temple. So they left. Yeah. And so that was very bad experience for him. In Chinese, it's 云门事件, because that happened in the Yunmen monastery. And after that, the head of government in Beijing invited him to go to Beijing. And he was just recovered a little bit, but still they wanted him to go to Beijing. So he traveled all the way to Beijing. And on his way, he gave some Dharma lectures and visit temples and also officiate those 3 refugees and 5 precepts to lay people. Yeah. And also when he arrived in Beijing, he was trying to find peace, not just for Buddhism itself, but also for other religions, because he wanted to seek for peace and also for their own freedom for all religions. Yeah. So, and that's what he did for the people in his time and for the monastics during his time. Okay, so that's a brief introduction for his life and also his personal practice and his contribution to Buddhism. Yeah, especially his contribution to Chan Buddhism. Okay, any question about him? Yeah.
I think for such a great master, and he who can enter samadhi must have the ability to see the future of his. And then he must know one day he will be beaten up to death.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you make some change? Like he could have had the chance to leave China or just avoid the soldiers.
Okay.
But I'm just wondering how did he make this choice?
Okay. That you have to ask him, right? At one point, like 1979, the Communist Party took over China. Some of his 1949, the Communist Party took over China, and Kuomintang, the Democratic Party retreated to Taiwan. So at that time, a lot of monks, they left China, just like our Grandmaster. At that time, he was a soldier. He was in the army. So he retreated with the Kuomintang party and to Taiwan. So a lot of monks and nuns, they went to Taiwan. And that's why nowadays Buddhism is become so popular in Taiwan. That is suffering for one thing, but then you gain on the other hand. So how can you say which is good or bad? Okay, and that's another thing. So Master Xun's disciple asked him to leave mainland China and say no, because one day he was in Hong Kong, he visited Hong Kong, but Hong Kong was part of mainland China, right? But there was a good chance for him to leave Hong Kong and go to Taiwan or to other country. But he said no. Now, because he's 110 years old, he said, first, I'm old. Second, I have to be a good model for people in mainland China. What kind of model? He said, if I leave, people will feel uncertainty. They will be panic greatly. So I don't want to create the chaos for people there. It's not that everyone can leave, right? A lot of them cannot. So he say, it's my duty to stay with the people. But he sent some of his direct disciples to either Hong Kong or Taiwan or the United States and also to Europe, like Xuanhua, Master Xuanhua. Master Shuman was his disciple and was sent to the U.S. Yeah, so I know some people criticize him for not leaving mainland China. So they said you can have more contribution, right? But for him, he said no, it's my duty, and I want to be with my people. Yeah, and those are his beloved people. Yeah, and also with his followers and a lot of monks and nuns, they cannot all leave mainland China. And as to your question about he's supposed to be able to predict what is going to happen to him, right? And the army will come to beat him. We can say that for some monks, they will think, okay, that is their karma. They have to face that and they have to endure the karma to consume the karma. That's one thing. And the other thing is that it's not, although he was enlightened, it doesn't mean that he can always predict everything. Yeah. Just like when we look at Shakyamuni Buddha, he also suffered from his own karma, right? You have to pay it off. Yeah. And even though he can predict something, still he will say, okay, I will face it. And this is my test. I have to pass the exam. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Look at his, if you haven't read this autobiography, I would recommend you read this book. And when you read it, and you just think and contemplate on what he has done in terms of his own cultivation. And you can ask yourself, what can I do to improve my own spiritual cultivation? What can I do? That is one thing. And the other thing is that this is his autobiography. And you can ask yourself, how would I write my own autobiography? You don't have to wait until you are 70 or 90 or 100 to write your autobiography, right? So if now you sit down, pick up your pencil and write something about yourself, how would you describe yourself? Am I compassionate? Am I, what else? Humble? Am I determined in what I aspire to do? Do I have great patience? Do I practice the 6 paramitas like the Master Xun? So what kind of 6 paramita he has practiced? According to, we just learned something from him. Okay, quiz. 6 paramitas. The first one?
Generosity.
Generosity, good. The second? Zweiter? What? Ethics. Okay, good. Or morality, good. The third?
Samadhi. That's good.
In order. Okay, good. Endurance, tolerance, or patience. Shanti. The fourth? The fourth. That's right. Diligence. Good. The fifth?
Samadhi.
Samadhi. And the last one? The last one. Prajna. Good. Okay. Recall the 6. Repeat it. Okay, the first one? Generosity. Morality. Yeah, tolerance, patience. The fourth? Diligence. Samadhi. Prajna or wisdom, right? Okay. So the first one, the first practice of generosity or giving, what did Master Xun have done?
His temples. He built the temple and gave to the monks.
Yeah, he just gave away his temples. Nothing was his, right? No self, and no ownership. But he was so detached to what he had done. Yeah, he did not claim all these. Oh, this is my credits. No. Okay, and what else?
He didn't take the donation for him.
Oh. Yeah, when he had the donation, he gave it out either to the temples or to the people who were in need, right? For the relief fund. Good. And what else?
He preached Dharma talks.
Oh, good. Dharma talk. He gave Dharma talks to others. What else?
I don't know if he stayed in China at it's also generosity because he want to protect his own followers.
Right.
The Buddhism.
Yeah, he wanted to be together with his followers, his disciples, right? And also Chinese people in general. Yeah, because he was such a role model and such a great figure at that time. People all knew him. Yeah. Okay. The second one, morality.
He practices
Yeah, he himself practiced Vinaya. Yes, and also
Vinaya in Chinese.
戒律. Vinaya is 戒律. Shila is 戒 as well. Vinaya is 律, like rules and all the precepts. And Shila is more about morality and virtues. So sometimes we use these sort of the same, but if you want to make a clear distinction, Vinaya is about the rules, all the different precepts. And Shila is about the morality or the merits or the virtues we can gain. That's why in Buddhism there is so-called 3 learnings. The first one is morality or Shila. Then we don't say Vinaya because it's not about the rules. So it's about the virtues we want to create. So the 3 learnings, the first one is Shila, and the second one concentration or meditation. Yeah, and the third is wisdom. Yeah, so we see the overlapping between the 3 learnings and also the 6 paramitas. So we talk about his generosity, his morality, and also his great endurance. Endure what? Illness. Yeah. Physical suffering, right? And what else?
3-step, 1 bow.
Yeah. Yeah. When he was doing the pilgrimage, right? He had to endure that. Okay. And what else?
The hunger.
Hunger. Mm-hmm. Good.
Beaten by the soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Beaten by those soldiers, right? And he did not bear any hatred to the soldiers. If he did, he was not the compassionate one, right? Mm. And also diligence. You want to say anything? He did diligently.
Yes, he had no political frustration at that.
Oh.
School,
Yeah.
a long life,
Mm-hmm.
and he still followed his path.
Mm-hmm. He followed his path. Good. Yeah, that's diligence. See, he could spend 3 years doing the pilgrimage. And when he was in the Mount Zhongnan, he spent so much time in practicing meditation, right? When we meditate for 40 minutes, we feel like my entire body is going to you have back pain and numbness, and we are enduring hardship during the sitting meditation. Okay, and of course, samadhi. We talk about his concentration in he enters samadhi. Okay, and also his enlightenment experience that is close to the samadhi, that's related as well, and his wisdom. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he talked about no self and talked about emptiness. Yeah. Okay, so that is his 6 paramitas. So then when we read his autobiography, we can also ask ourselves, you reflect upon your path of cultivation and see what kind of 6 paramitas I had already practiced. Yeah. It's not perfect, right? But still we are on the way, on the bodhisattva way. Okay, any questions? Oh, I forgot. Điểm那个点点，点那个点点，对，stop，谢谢。